Welcome to another episode of the Wandering Watercolor. My name is Constantine, and I'll be your host for today. And if you're here because you purchased the watercolor coloring book from me, thank you, I really appreciate you. Today we are working on the 5th page of the Cute Dogs watercolor coloring book. And if you're interested in acquiring that book, it'll be in the description. Otherwise, let's get to the drawing table. So today's image is a cute little corgi running towards us. And as always, I have my paint. I make my own paint. If you're interested in purchasing the palette, that'll also be in the description. And then, as always, I have my rag, my scrap piece of paper, dish where I can mix the colors onto. This is just a soap dish, but any dish works. As long as it's either glass or porcelain, it'll work just fine. And then to the side, I have a jar of water, which that's where I get my water from. Oh, the brush, it can be any brush. Seriously, any brush will work. This is just a very cheap 16-cent brush from Walmart. I bought it in a pack of 5 for like $2, and it works just fine. Excuse me if I sniffle a little bit or cough a little bit. My allergies are killing me, and I'm not sure why. But anyway, so the very first thing that we will mix is that nice orange coat that corgis have, and we always start with just the flat wash. I'm grabbing a little bit of the brown because the brown has a kind of like an orange tint to it. And we're just going to add a little red. And then we're just going to grab a little bit of the yellow. And that's pretty good, but we just need a little more red. Dang. I always put too much red whenever I start mixing orange. There we go. That looks better. That looks more like what we need. Except we want to add a little more water so that we can do a kind of like a lighter wash at first. So if you look right here, you'll notice that this side is a little lighter than this side. That's because there's more water on this side and there's more pigment on this side. So we'll start by getting it from here. And the way that the color will be is right here. If it helps, you can always look up an image of a corgi. It'll give you more of an idea of what the markings look like. Or if not, you could just kind of follow along. I forgot to mention, if you didn't buy the book, you can always just pause and then draw out or sketch out the image and then start playing it whenever you're ready. So corgis have a white underbelly. They actually have really interesting markings when you stop and look at them. They almost kind of remind me of like a fox or something very distant from a fox. Alright, and there we go like that. And then just a little bit around the ears. And like that. And then right here. And then a little bit on the inside there. Because I guess as the corgi is running some of that outside fur, you can kind of see it underneath. But that's pretty much it for the markings. Now obviously we are going to add shadow onto this. The shadow for this one is coming down like this. Or the light, I should say. The light is coming down like this, so a lot of the shadow is going to be right here, kind of underneath and Yeah, you can kind of imagine it going from this way, and the shadow will be right here. Okay. So next, we just need to mix the pink that'll go in the the tongue, the big tongue that's kind of hanging out here, the ears, and the little pads on the feet. So we'll do that by grabbing some red, a little more red, and then a little bit of the yellow ochre. And a little more. See, we don't want it to be too close to the orange, because we want it to be easily differentiated. So we'll grab a little more red. That's a pretty good pink. Okay. I kind of go like this to clear a lot of it from the brush. That way you can still get the color, but it's not too saturated when you go to lay it down. Okay, so that's good. And then go like that. And like that. And then also underneath the tongue, just kind of stopping where the teeth are. It's okay if you, it's always okay if you go over the lines a little bit. It's not a big deal. Okay, and then right here on the left ear, and then the little pads. Okay, and right there, right there, there. Okay. Rinse our brush. Okay, so yeah, making some quick progress on this one. Next, before we start working on the nose and the lips around, we will go ahead and color in the eyes. The eyes, however, there's brown and black in the eyes, and we start by adding just a little bit of brown and green, or the blue-green that we have here. Okay, it looks like a pretty good brown, but maybe just a little more. There we go. Okay. And we're going to fill in the entirety of the eye. And then later on we'll go back in for the pupil itself. Okay, same with this one. Okay, there we go. Rinse our brush. And then we can go ahead and grab a little bit of black. And then it doesn't have to be too much because we're going to do it in layers. So we're going to do one layer and then maybe 2 or 3 more layers to emphasize the darker points. So the first one, this is going to be the first layer right there. Okay, the nose, and then the first layer on where the lips are, right there. Okay. We'll leave a little bit of white there because the little bit of the chin is showing there. And while we are on the black, or I should say gray, we're just gonna grab a little water and then kind of really dilute it, because we don't want it to stick out too much. And the reason being is we're gonna use it to lay down some shadow, right? So remember, the light is coming down from top right to bottom left. So we will use it to go a little bit like this. There's some shadow there, like that. Maybe do a couple of strokes to emphasize the fur. And then this will be kind of covered in shadow here. And go like that. And on the inside of the foot here, or rear leg, and this leg probably all be in shadow because it's underneath the pet, or the dog I should say. And then just a little bit on this end, kind of like that on the inside, and also underneath the pads, like that. Definitely on this little paw that's folded back like that, a little bit on the inside. Okay, so all that looks good so far. Rinse our brush. So next we need to mix the shadow of the dog. So one foot is on the ground and all the rest of them are off the ground, kind of like it's in mid-gallop. So we will use this foot as a reference point, or I should say this paw as a reference point where the ground will be, and it'll kind of go like this way because the light is coming from there, from upright, so the shadow would be down towards the bottom left. So we're going to grab a little bit of the dark blue, a little more, a little bit of the brown, kind of mix them together. I'm trying to get kind of like a dirt color, I guess. Kind of like a darker dirt color. So yeah, I don't want it to be too brown. I don't want it to be too gray. Somewhere in the middle, which this looks about right. And then we're gonna lay it in like this. And then just like under the leg or under the paw, and then kind of horizontally, and then press down a little bit on the paper so you can get the texture as it's going that way to the lower left. There we go. Perfect. We will go back in and add a little more depth to the shadow, but that's fine for now. What we will do next is rinse off our brush and then just maybe dry it off a little bit with your rag. And then also, if you don't have a rag, like a cotton rag like I do, just grab a paper towel. That works just fine. Grab some of the coat color, this orange here, and then we'll go in and repeat some areas. Kind of like this one down here, like that. And back here, kind of going around like that. A little bit over here, just to show the difference between the, because this leg is kind of like more in the foreground, and this one's more in the background, so that kind of adds some separation there. And then a little bit of texture in the face, like that, a little bit down here, and then down here, like that. Okay. And kind of outline a little bit of the ear just to show the shadow. Okay. Now remember, it looks dark right now, but you have to keep in mind that all these colors will dry much lighter. And also a little bit right there for the eyebrow. I'm just gonna give it just a little bit, because corgis have like these cute little eyebrows They're very expressive. Okay. So that looks good. Maybe repeat some of those areas again. Okay. Rinse my brush. And now we can go ahead and add some shadow to the pink areas like the tongue, the ears, and the pads. Grab a little bit of the brown, mix it in with this pink that we had mixed here. Grab a little bit of the ochre and a little bit of the red. And that looks like a good, well, maybe we need to make it a little darker, so a little more of the brown and just a slight bit more of the red. Okay, that looks good. That looks like a good mix. And first we'll go right here for the ears, just a little bit on the top and then a little bit down here to show some depth. And then same right here, except more going this way because of the way that the shadow would be falling. And then we need to do a line right there and right there because that's where the shadow of the mouth, or the upper part of the mouth, would be falling. So like that. And maybe a little bit of shadow to show the tongue, and then maybe the form of the tongue, like that. There we go, perfect. A little bit underneath here for the pads, kind of like that. Just you don't need to do the whole thing. Just kind of give it some sense of form, basically. At the bottom one, we'll do the whole thing, and then a little bit like that to the side. Okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back here in the ear just to add a little more depth, just like that. And same with this ear, just a little more like that. Okay, and rinse off our brush. I really love watching how it comes together slowly, step by step. And now, while that's drying, we're just going to go down here for the dark brown. And honestly, I'm going to add a little more water, grab a little bit of the brown, a little bit of the dark blue, just kind of mix it up together again. And then kind of clear some of it off the brush, just using the edge there. And then add some outline. It's too light. We need a little more dark blue, make it a little darker. There we go. So adding an outline there, just to kind of like emphasize the shadow, and then just go more towards the middle of the shadow, and then just kind of go down like that. The reason being is the shadow gets lighter towards the edges, but where it is immediately where it's generated is dark, along with the center of the shadow is always darker. So this kind of helps give it some variability, which makes it look more realistic. It's also more interesting to look at. Okay. Now we will go in, grab a little bit of black, and then we don't need a lot at this point. Although some of the brown is creeping in, so I'm just gonna clear it off with my rag like that. There we go. I'm gonna do that again, grab some of the black. We don't need a lot, just a little bit, kind of mix it in. Okay, there we go. And then first I'm going to color in the, let me shape the tip of the brush so I can do this a little more easily. First I'm going to color in the nostrils. Both of them, okay? And then kind of create a shadow like that, as if the light's coming down out this way. So this one is going to be where the shadow is going to be. Okay, so then I'm going to also add a little bit down here, more on the inside there, and then a little bit underneath, and then some right here, and then right there. Okay. Okay, so all of that looks good. And now while that's drying, we can actually go ahead and grab a little darker, a little more of the black pigment. And what we'll do is, now we're going to go very slow. We're just going to color in the little circle here for the pupil. Normally I would put a little highlight in the pupil, but because this is from far away, you wouldn't really be able to see the highlight in the pupil. You would just be able to see the little black dots for the pupil. And going right there. And just remember to sculpt the shape of your brush, the tip of your brush, if you need to. That's what I'm doing right now. And just slowly fill it in. Okay. Okay, that's good. And now we can go ahead and actually get some more. Get some more of the black, and then fill in the nostrils. Fill in both of the nostrils. Okay, and then down the middle there. Okay. And then do a little more outlining on the lips. Okay, so that looks good. Rinse my brush a little bit and then actually use this darker color. So this darker color is going to be a darker shadow. I'm going to lay down, let's see, right there. Yeah, that's not too dark, but it's not too light either. So I'm going to use that to outline some of the hairs, give a little more depth to the shadows. Like that. Back here, a little bit over here, and then between the toes maybe, give it a little more outline. Same over here, do a little more like that. And that one, a little bit more on the inside there. A little bit more right there. On the outside, just a little more, basically emphasizing where there's hairs, where there's a little more, give it a little more texture. And then also underneath here, maybe just do a couple of short strokes right there. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna rinse off my brush. Oh, need to rinse it off again. and then dry it off, and then grab the color that's left right there that we used for the tongue and the ears, and then go in a little more, give a little more depth right there, and then also in the ears, there, right there, a little bit in the paws. Rinse that off, and we're almost done. Gonna grab a little bit of the blue, and we're gonna use that as it is. Actually, we're just gonna go ahead and lay that out as a background color, just very carefully around the head, around the ears, and just kind of use the texture of the paper to kind of give you some variation in the strokes there. And just like that. And this side. And what that does is it really helps the orange pop. Orange and blue are complementary colors, so adding one, as long as it's not too much, as long as they don't clash, that really helps. And it's kind of in the background, so it's not too strong, and it's kind of back there to help make the orange kind of pop. It really helps separate the corgi from the background. So that's good. The last thing that we will do, the very last thing we will do is just grab some of the black, and then just this time we're going very heavy on the pigment. We're basically using it like ink at this point. And then just making sure that we have the tip of the brush sculpted well enough so we can do detailed strokes, and then going back in where the eyes are and going and adding more black for both of the eyes, and then nostrils. A little bit over here for the lips. And rinse our brush, step back, take a look at it. Okay, yeah, I would say we're done. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, so that was the 5th page of the Cute Dogs Watercolor Coloring Book. Thank you for sticking through the tutorial with me. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments. It's always interesting to hear what people have to say. Yeah, basically just take your time. Don't rush. Have fun with it. Remember, there's 10 different images in these watercoloring books. So if you need to go on to the next one, if you feel like you've messed up too bad, you have 9 more tries. So yeah. And as always, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.